try to catch up in a lot of this Ephim over here. That is Hashem. We are floating around, as you notice, between Sif Tes, Yud, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel. Today, I hope to somewhat go more. I'll say to the Shulchan Aruch, more I'll say to the Paiskim, and then hopefully, as Hashem, we'll try that. My internet is freezing. Everybody hears me? Frozen. We're having issues.
No, now we do.
Now we're okay? Yeah?
It's okay. Yeah.
Now we're good. Yeah? Okay. I ask everyone please to do tshuva, and the rest of us don't have to suffer for you, Rabbi say. Now, yeah, you should put on a hat. Okay, Rabbi say. Now, one question I was asked is that we discussed Sif Yud is really the discussion of Irui, and also Litein Tavlim Bekairul Aris Aleim Bikli Rishon. You're not allowed to do Irui from a Kli Rishon. Irui from a Kli Rishon, we said, is considered Bishul, Deraisa, we said, and we explained yesterday it's not even a suffix. And I was asked, how come I didn't mention the sheet of the Chazanish, which is a valid question. I accept the question. If there's a sheet of the Chazanish, so then one certainly has to mention it. And I accept the bikoret. I expect the question. How can I not mention what Chazanish? So I keep talking. Every time we've mentioned what's a Kli Rishon is the urn. That's your classic Kli Rishon. In our houses, that's a classic Kli Rishon. And the water coming out of the urn, that's considered Irui coming from a Kli Rishon. And therefore, this cup, this would be my urn. This is my cup. And the urn coming into my cup, this becomes a Kli Sheni with all of the dinim of Kli Sheni and all of the kulas. So again, we mentioned it in passing, but it was extremely past. And I was asked, why is it that I don't mention the Shita of the Chazanish more? So first and foremost is that, what is the Chazanish? So in Time of the Kra, in the Sefer of Chaim Kanievsky, in the 235th page, he has an Haggis there from the Chazain Ish, different than Haggis over there. And he says like this. He says, Seder Asi, I'm reading you now from the Sefer Time Dikra. Seder Asiyas Tei b'Shabbos, Shavchu Mayim Chamim L'toich Kois Nagov. He would pour the boiling hot water into a dry cup, because you need to have dry, like we explained yesterday. Umisham L'kli Sheni. From that cup, he would pour it into a Kli Sheni. Umisham L'kli Shlishi. And then from the second cup, we're now, in my language, this is what we were calling a Kli Revi. And the Chazanish would pour it into what he's calling a Kli Shlishi, the third cup. Shebetoicha yasens, and he would pour it into the tisens. Now, B'Chazanish, or Chayin Siman in Beis, V'Shamati, Shechashish Gamkein, the Kli Shenois L'Seicha Mikli Rishon. I heard that the Chazanish, this is the part we want, it's Chashish, that when you take water from an urn, Al-Yedei Barza, there's a connecting stream going of hot water to the place where the Kli Rishon is on the fire. Shakiluach Mechabron, it's considered attached to Kli Rishon. Ayin Rashi in Shabbos. Umashek Dima sense was because he was worried about the Shita of Tzviya Ba'oichlin. Dainu, to explain this, the Chazanish seems to have been worried about a Shita of a Pri Megadim. What's the Pri Megadim? In Yeridei Siman Tzadi Hey, in Sif Yud Ches, which you all know that Pri Megadim, because we spoke about that Pri Megadim in the Kailul when we were there last week. Hold it in your hand. When you have if the stream is continuous to the hot water in the Kli Rishon, that is called Irui. And Sleniskar, Af Shenach Al Gabe Klikar, even though it has touched a wall, Ele Kein Nifsach V'nach Al Gabe Klikar. Unless it actually stopped. Umisham Kliacher, then a Neser. I'm not doing well. My internet is no well. Internet's not good. No good. Okay, so wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see what I can do.
We're not using the cable anymore?
Using the cable.
Oh.
I'm using it. 1 minute.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu Maasim, Aseimanu, Tzedaka v'chesed, V'hoshieinu.
The Israeli national anthem. What is this business? Sing a song we know, man.
No one hears me. I'm
Ellie, you
frozen.
wanna come back to America?
Wait, is nobody hearing me?
We hear
Hello?
Rebbe a little bit. Rebbe is either in extreme slow motion or frozen.
Should I, Danny? Is there any tayalis in trying to come back to the Zoom? Doing it one more time? Yes.
The Rabbi can try disconnect and reconnect.
Okay, so give me 1 second, Rabbi. Say.
We'll all be here.
1 second. It's good now. It's getting better.
Getting better? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Rabbi. Say. How bye. I will ask once again that whoever needs to do tshuva should please immediately do tshuva. Morty, enough. Do tshuva. All right, Shimon, please. Akapanim. So the Pri Megadim Rabbi Isai seems to say, and that's where the Chazon Ish is coming from. The Pri Megadim seems to say a tremendous chiddush that when you have a stream of water, a stream of Eroi connected back to the urn, connected back to the Kli Rishon, which is on the fire, so then that is not called Eroi Kli Rishon. It is considered to be an actual Kli Rishon. Dainu, kol zman that you're connected to the actual urn, kol zman the liquid is connected to the urn, like let's say in the case of where there's a spout, and the spout, the water is coming down. So now the water at one point is connected to the urn. So since it's connected to the urn, so therefore we view that when it hits the cup, that's considered a Kli Rishon still. That's what the Pri Megadim seemingly says. That's what the Kli Megadim seemingly says. Is Memela Rabbi Isai, is Memela, the Chazon Ish takes this so far as to say that therefore when you have an urn and the stream of water hits the cup, so now in the cup, all you did was you continued the Kli Rishon. When there'll be a nifsak, when it'll be stopped inside the cup, so now from the cup to the next cup is now where your Kli Rishon starts. Now where you go, this is your Kli Rishon. Now you're pouring it and you hit a Kli Sheni. That's the chiddush of the Chazon Ish. This is the chiddush brought in Taimid the Korah of the Chazon Ish. It is not brought in the Sefer of the Chazon Ish. And Shlomo Zalman Auerbach in Halicha Shleima and Pesach in Perek Gimel in Halacha in Aram Mem Zayin, he says, Rabbeinu Shlomo Zalman Yatameya Eich Lo Yirah Chazon Ish. If the Chazon Ish really held of this, how could it be that he didn't bring this in his Sefer and explain his Daitai? but what can I tell you? He said his Talmud said that this is what he held. So this is the reason why, number one, I did not bring this when we spoke in the Shirim, because the Chazon Ish himself doesn't bring it. The Chazon Ish himself doesn't bring it. What?
They have to redo the books. It's up to you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is like this. 1 second, Rabbi say. I'm going to open up my other computer because I have a MiFi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wait 1 minute, Rabbi say. Sorry, having technical difficulties. I'm sorry, Rabbi say, but Bitulai Zo Kiyumai. I'm sorry, Rabbi say. One second. You should wait 1 minute. I'm sorry, Rabbi Say. The reason here, I'll talk to you in a minute while I prepare this. The reason I never mentioned it is because the Chazon Ish decided not to talk about this in his wonderful sefer called the Chazon Ish. So you have to know how much the Chazon Ish held of this chiddush. Now, the etzim chiddush is against everywhere that you read in the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah never ever seems to mention this chiddush at all. Just 1 moment. I'm just connecting, Rabbi Say. I'm so sorry. Don't lose hope, Rabbi. Say just do tshuva.
Shlomi, bring it. Yeah, where's your guitar, Shlomi? Let's rock and roll. Unmute yourself. Let's play something. Rebbe, take your time. We have all the time in the world. We're all unemployed, Rebbe. It's all good.
Yeah, but I'm not unemployed.
For our sake, though, we're good. Nossi, Niggin.
Nossi, take it away.
If you don't start singing, I'm just gonna sing Shalom Aleichem.
Sing Shalom Aleichem. I just watched my wedding video and I'm still cringe-worthy. Cringe-worthy. Like literally just watched it yesterday. I can't.
Let's go. Cover that Torah.
Oh. Let's sing Yeshua Chayil. Let's sing
Yeshua Chayil went away.
Shlomi,
What about Fizgis? What about Fizgis? I hear he's a singer. No, let him sing something.
No one told me that.
Fizgis is like,
wants to think, thank you, Hashem.
no, let's go. Fizgis, no.
Let's sing
Why is Fisk not singing? Isn't he a singer?
Where's your
Yeah,
dummy?
he's no, not Yosef Chaim Shweki. Yosef Chaim Fizgis is a singer.
Ray Balsam, new. Where's your guitar? Take it away.
Gutman.
Anytime.
Ray Balsam, your guitar's
Let's see, you know the Gutman song.
That's the Gutman, yeah.
Yeah, the man, the rocker. That was very good. 3 words.
Okay, this computer is leaving.
Kachi Darkish Al Torah? Kach.
Okay, I'm here, Rabbi Say. Okay.
Everyone, please mute
Let's try
themselves.
again. Why don't we just? We can't mute me. Sorry, you know what I mean. Meg, Mickey, Meg, did you take this? Bye. Okay, I'm back. How are you doing, everybody? Say, even worse. Worse. Now, we're going to get that computer back in 1 minute. Worse? Still, nobody hears me at all? Does anybody hear me? Frozen screen. It's good. Does anybody hear me? Everyone hears me. Okay, in about 2 minutes, we're getting the other computer back. It seems to be that we can't be saimech on you guys doing tshuva, so we're going to get a different computer in a minute. The audio is fine. And in the meantime, try to keep the Averas down. Okay, now everyone hears me? No? No? How's now? Yes? Hearing? I'm not asking if you're seeing. Is anyone hearing me? Shaky.
Yes, we hear Rabbi.
Okay. Okay, so let's one more time. Bekitzer Rabbi said, let's start over. Tachlis, there's a sheet of the Chazon Ish that the Chazon Ish brings down in the Sefer Time of the Krah. He doesn't bring down in its own Sefer. He brings the Rechaim Kanievsky brings down that the Chazon Ish was chayshish for a shita of the Pri Megadim. The Pri Megadim is in Yeridea in Siman Tzadi Hay. The Pri Megadim over there says that if you have a Eroi which is connected back to the urn, and the hot water is coming, the Kli Rishon water where the water was cooked has a continuous flow. If an Eroi going into this new cup, so that cup is called a Kli Rishon, and the Eroi out of that is called an Eroi of a Kli Rishon. That was the Chiddush of the Chazon Ish based on a Pri Megadim. The Chazon Ish is not brought in his sefer. Shlomo was Matama. How can we not bring it down if he held of it? But the Rechaim Kanievsky was definitely his, knew his on Haggis, does bring it down. Now, Ad Kedei Kach, the Chuvas on Haggis, Ramoshe Sternbach, he said he's always chayshish for the sheet of the Chazon Ish, that the kais, the first kais, is called a Kli Rishon. The first cup is called a Kli Rishon, and therefore he tells his Talmidim, I was darashti bekihila ladar lasis king. He was Doirish in South Africa that they should be machmir on this shita, which is a very big chiddush because South Africa is, not Yerushalayim Mir HaKodesh, Rabbi said. And Alpha Beacon, he held of this chiddush so much that he held that it's not Bnei Brak either. For those that are confused, South Africa is not in Bnei Brak. And he was held of this chumrah so much, he held that the South African Jews should be machmir and consider the first cup coming out of the urn is considered a Kli Rishon. Now, if that's true, Rabbi Isai, so then you guys were over on a lot of Bishul in the last few weeks because the most that we were machmir on was the Kli Shlishi in certain things, but now that Kli Shlishi just turned into a Kli Sheni according to the Chazon Ish, and therefore do have a lot of tshuva to do. The reason why I don't mention this shita so much is because the stima of the Shabura and the Magen Avram and Kimat, all the places always not like this. And I'll be the lashon of the Chamudei Daniel. The Chamudei Daniel is a very chashuv sefer in Yeridea, and the Chamudei Daniel says Davar Tamua. He writes, he has a sefer, and in the sefer it's called Kli Rishon Ois Aleph. That's the name of the section, Kli Rishon. Davar Tamua. He goes on this Pri Megadim, and he says it's a theme of this Pri Megadim. Sharei Behed because of the Ramas is not like that. We learned in Sivan Tzadi Beis and Siv Zayin that once it's nifsach the kiluach, it already has a din of Kli Sheni. He says the second it's nifsach the Eroi, it already is called Kli Sheni. Kain Muskam B'Kolak Poiskin, and he brings the Magen Avram, and I'll bring you the Mishabura, and it's Muskam L'Chayr and all of the Poiskim not like this, and therefore to be machmer on this is taka a very large chumrah. Now, I have a bigger problem on the Chazon Ish, which is it's very difficult to understand, is that the Chazon Ish is being machmir and saying that when the boiling hot water from your Eroi Kli Rishon goes into this cup, since it was connected through an Eroi, so then that's considered, the Eroi continues and keeps the shame of the Kli Rishon all the way to the cup. Now, his raya, the raya of the Chazon Ish, this we'll call this Pri Megadim basically, right, has to do with the sugya of Ambati, the Ambati, which is Sifyud Aleph. And in Ambati over here, the halacha of Ambati is that you had Chamei Tveria, like we spoke about, you had the boiling hot water, and there was a continuous flow of the boiling hot water that went into somewhat of a pool. And in that pool, the somewhat of this pool, the water continued. So Kivyachol, it kept the dream alive. It kept the Kli Rishon alive. The Chazon Ish wanted to say, therefore, huadin, when you take the boiling hot water from the urn and it goes into the kais, it continues it into there, and it's considered a Kli Rishon even inside the kais. There's a very big chiddush over here that the Chayra, Bishul, you can hear that by the case of the Ambati, there's a continuous flow of water, and it's Chayra. It's a davar that's, I think, kavua. So therefore, the floor doesn't have the ability to cool down the water. Right? Mashenkin over here, there's no kavua dika thing. I mean, watch what happens when I take this and I pour it into here. So let's say I pour it. Now what happens? It goes in, and then it hits the wall. And once it hits the wall, so the wall should cool it down. There's no continuous flow. It's not something that that the continuous flow doesn't allow for the wall to cool it down. So we should say that there's no dimyan to an Ambati. And ambati is something that is a constant flow of hot water going into the bath. And therefore, the constant flow of hot water fights constantly against the wall of the bath. But l'chaira, when you have boiling hot water coming into here, so it goes into the cup, and then it hits the wall, and that's it. Why should the wall not cool it down? And therefore, you can go on this one with the steam of all of the poskim, and this cup is considered a kli sheni. Now, I say it could be that what happens. It's interesting. What happens? There might be a shtickle of eights over here. What happens if I do an eroi like this? I pour the water and I pour it onto the wall of the cup. I take the water and I pour it onto the wall of the cup, and my finger is sitting at the bottom, but I make sure I hit the wall first. So do we say that the wall now cooled it down? Now we learned not like that. We learned when we learned in Sivan Tadi Bays that much the Chazon Ish is for sure right that it's considered an eroi to the klivishin. And we talked about a stovetop, it was considered a continuous flow, and that's not even going to help us at all. In other words, the Chazon Ish went to the next step, and he said, not only does it not cool it down, but it keeps alive the Kli Rishon. That's the Chiddush. Halacha l'maiser b'isai. Is there ever a case that I'm chayshish for the Chazon Ish? So I'll tell you, the only case that I'm chayshish for the Chazon Ish is l'kula. What do I mean? On Erev Pesach, people call me sometimes, and they ask me about koshering countertops. And they say, look, they're covering anyways, but they want to know, is there any reason to kosher the countertop if you're covering? So the truth is, there is a Mishnah Berurah, and there's a Chemed Moshe, and there's a Chak Yankiv, there's Achreinim, that they all do seem to talk about that there is some type of a minhag to not only cover the countertops, but also to kosher the countertops. But L'maisa, most people, when it comes to koshering the countertops, they're not going to be doing it properly, like the Mishnah Berurah says, with an Evan Malupin, with the whole bricks and everything. It's not so common that they're going to do it properly, right? And so sometimes a person calls me and says to me, look, there's no point in me covering the koshering because I'm not going to do it properly anyways. So on that I tell him, it's not so pasha to me. Because if you take an urn, especially an urn that has the fire under it, sometimes they have these kumkums that they come attached with the actual metal, the red hot metal that they can clip it on and things like that, etc. Right. So now, if you're going to pour from the urn while it's bubbling onto your Kli Rishon, according to the Chazon Ish, you know what you're doing? According to the Chazon Ish, since the stream is connected to the urn, the Chazon Ish over here we could use maybe as a cooler. What did the Chazon Ish tell us? The Chazon Ish told us that when I take boiling hot water and I am connected by a stream and I go into the cup, so since it was always connected, so even though now it stops in the cup, but since it started coming and it was totally connected to the Kli Rishon, that is a shame of a Kli Rishon. The Chazon Ish was coming to say, therefore your cup is called a Kli Rishon. Maybe we could use the Chazon Ish l'kula, at least. In other words, I wouldn't say this obviously as a lechatchila because the Chazon Ish is a pella. But if someone wants to know, is there any siba at all to kasher because you're not really kashering? Because the Mishnah Berurah says in order to kasher properly, you have to have an Evan Malupin. You have to take boiling hot water and make sure that the water is being cooked with a boiling hot stone as you go along your countertop. And most people are not capable of doing that and don't want to do it. And he's covering anyways. So he thinks, what's the point in doing it? But I have an answer for him. If he'll do a kashering like the Chazon Ish, he'll take boiling hot water and it's coming from a Kli Rishon. So now the eroi from this Kli Rishon, according to the Chazon Ish, since when it touched the floor of the countertop, so it was still attached to the original Kli Rishon where the water was cooked in. So then that's considered a Kli Rishon going on your countertop. So according to that, it could be I could use the Chazon Ish l'kula. I'll use the Chazon Ish to say, am I doing anything when I'm kashering with a kumkum that's called a Kli Rishon, or do I say it's not a waste of time because you're anyways not getting a Evan Blubin? Lefi this, it has a din of a Kli Rishon. Now, we don't paskin like that. We don't pass like the Chazon Ish at all. But as a chumrah, if you go with the Chazon Ish, it's at least a chumrah. Not like the Chazon Ish was being machmir to not allow me to put something inside my Kli Sheni or my Kli Shlishi and to consider it a Kli Shlishi and a Kli Revi. But the other way around, you could look now at the Chazon Ish and you could use the Chazon Ish if he really believes so much that a kumkum has a din of a Kli Rishon. So then maybe when I kasher for Pesach and I'm going to cover, it would be a viable chumrah. Is that crystal clear, by saying? Crystal clear? Crystal clear. And everybody hears me? Everybody sees me? Okay. A lot of stress today. Let's go weiter. Okay. Go on. Let's go weiter. I'm sorry. I'm ignoring the chat for a minute, but we lost a lot of time. And let's go weiter a second. Sifyud Aleph, I'm not going to talk about that much because I don't have any practical case of Sifyud Aleph. Sifyud Aleph basically says that if you have a big ambati, over here in Sifyud Aleph, you see a big chiddush. You see, if you have a bathtub, which is filled up with boiling hot water, and now that bathtub has a din of a kli sheni, excuse me. So now, what should be the din of a kli sheni? The din of a kli sheni is that you're allowed to put water in it. So this massive hot bathtub, which had boiling hot water in it, you should be allowed to put water in it because there's no bishul in a kli sheni on water. That's what it should say in Sifyud Aleph. It doesn't say that. In Sifyud Aleph, it says, Ambati of a merchatz, a klisheni of a merchatz, which has boiling hot water, ain't noised in mayim. You can't put water in. Why not? Why not? Why not? This breaks all the rules. Over here, it says that a klisheni you can't put water in. So this is really a Gemara. And Bati, you're not allowed to put boiling hot water, cold water into this boiling hot water, which is a klisheni. And the shaila is, why not? Right? What's the answer? Rabbi Tersh's little friend over there. What's the answer? Why can't I put water, cold water, inside a klisheni? Klisheni is mutter. So, lefi the chaye adam that we spoke out once, there's a concept of yad nichvis by. So then it's very good. And the shar mitzvahs haaretz, the chaye adam himself in the Pinas Adam, he says such a tzad. He says, I'll tell you pshat over here in this Gemara. You're not allowed to put cold water because the bath gets so hot that it's called Yad Nichves Bay. And therefore, since it's so hot at Yad Nichves Bay, you can't put cold water in there. That's one mahalach. But we saw that that's a big chumrah. That's a big chumrah. The Shvisas Shabbos says, no. What's the whole lumdis? Why? When you have water, you're allowed to put it in a klisheni, because the klisheni is not mavashal. Why is the klisheni not mavashal? Because the walls are making a downward effect. So the hot water is getting less. It doesn't have the strength of the walls of the Kli Rishon, keeping the dream alive and making it retain its heat. Says the Shvisas Shabbos, that you can only say when the walls are affecting the water. But if you have such a great, large a supply of water over here, so then the walls are not going to have an effect. You have this massive bathtub of water, of boiling hot water, a massive bathtub, and the walls are buttle klape the size of the bathtub. So therefore, the water is enechanami not getting maybe the strength of the metal that was cooked on the fire, but it has the strength of the other water. So that itself should be enough of a reason that you shouldn't be allowed to put the cold water inside the klisheni, because it's kivyachol like the mile of Kli Rishon, that the walls aren't cooling down. This might go back to our other shaila. What do I need? What's the mila? Is the vart that the walls are keeping the dream alive, or is it that the walls are cooling it down? So here you have something in the middle. You don't have that the walls are keeping the dream alive. You have that the water is keeping the dream alive, but you also don't have that the walls are affecting it and cooling it down. So maybe this ambati would have the koyach to cook Kli Rishon, right? And Rosh Shlomo Zalman in the Shulchan Shlomo Memches, he says, "L'maisa, the whole thing is only a drabanan. It's certainly not the raisa." And we'll be moisif that the sheet of the Tosfos is mefurish like that in Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph. Tosfos says, "Aroya oimer, the roya sees such hot water. He says, well, this is like a Kli Rishon, and he's going to come to cook in a Kli Rishon." So halacha l'maisa, Rabbi say, if you have a bathtub of boiling hot Kli Sheni water, don't put cold water in it. Does anybody have a negeh case? So I was going to say the mikvah, and I was going to say that the mikvah is too hot or something like that, and they wanted to put cold water in it to cool it down, but it's not going to work because the mikvah, they actually cook the water in the mikvah. There's a metal bar in the mikvah. Whoever remembers from going to the mikvah, pre-war days, pre-corona days, whoever remembers, there's a mikvah. So over there, they have that metal rod. So the water gets heated in the mikvah. So the mikvah itself is a Kli Rishon. So there's no shaila in the world that you can't put cold water inside a mikvah. So I can't think of a practical case. Does anybody have a practical case? A woman wants to take a bath on a Friday and then wants to bathe the child in on a Friday night. Yeah, by then usually it's not going to be atzoletis, but it's like it's not a normal case. And maybe you can find the case, but akapanin halach l'maisa, that's Sif Yud Aleph. Sif Yud Aleph. Sifyud Beis, actually, one more Nakuda in Sifyud Aleph. I mentioned yesterday about the egg and putting the egg inside the cold water, putting the cooked egg inside the cold water. Rabbi Zinger took one for the boys, and he takes out the egg every Shabbos and puts it into cold water. And l'chayra, he feels very bad now because yesterday I said that he did nisser all these Shabboses. And it's yitachin, that's why we had internet issues today, because of he still hasn't done tshuva yet. So the shaila is there any way that I can maybe pater him from doing tshuva? I mean, you should always do tshuva, but is there any way I can maybe pater him from doing tshuva? So it's interesting. I saw Rabbi Cooper, Rabbi Cooper, he sent me to look up that a lot of the Achreinim are extremely bothered. Okay, one answer would be to take a cold stream of water on the egg. It's not mistaber that such a thing would cook, because each time the water gets knocked off and it doesn't last there even for a second. So maybe that would be an answer. But could I take a boiling hot egg and put it in cold water? When you read this Mishnah Berurah, it sounds like no. The Mishnah Berurah and Siv Katan Ayin Ches, Mishnah Berurah says over here, like we saw yesterday, that if you take a piece of meat, a piece of boiling hot meat, and you put it inside some type of a roitiv, some type of a gravy, and you heat up the gravy. So Mishnah Berurah brings down that's an Isser Gomer, because you're being mevashel the gravy Kedei Klipa. So we asked under the Mogen Avram that it's a pella, l'chayra, that Kedei Klipa gets immediately mixed into the rest of the liquid. So it doesn't have a chance to be misbashel. But that was the Mishnah Berurah. So no one's going to argue on the Mishnah Berurah. So I saw a few terutzim. I saw the Sefer Ma'or Shabbos. He was clearly very bothered by this. And in Chelik Aleph, in Siman Gimel, in Or Lamed Gimel, he posed the shaila to Rabbi Yashiv and to Shlomo Zalman. And they each said different mahalchim to explain this Mishnah Berurah, because they were very troubled by this Mishnah Berurah. Rabbi Yashiv said that the Mishnah Berurah is talking about roitiv. Roitiv, gravy, is thick. Gravy is a thickness. Now, I don't know, what'll be the level of thickness. Mishnah Berurah is in Sivkat Ayin Ches. And I don't know the level of thickness that is required, but he wanted to say, Rabbi Yashiv says that when you take a piece of boiling hot meat and you put it on gravy, and the gravy has a thickness to it, so he says, on that, it's shayich to say Kedei Klipa, because a liquid gets mixed around right away. The klipa of a liquid will go all over the place, like a water. But he says gravy has a thickness to it. So when I take a piece of boiling hot meat and I put it on gravy, so then the outside layer of the gravy does remain for a few seconds. It doesn't always mish and get that eingemish tazah. So he wants to say, according to this, it'll come out. According to Rabbi Yashiv, water and an egg is mutter gomer. Mutter gomer. Now, Rabbi Lieberman is asking me, what about a hot pot on a wet surface? That's not going to help us, Rabbi say, because there you're sitting on the dots of water themselves. So they have nothing to mix with. So for Shteitzov, that's an Isser Gomer. That's no Shaila. But here we're talking about an egg that you're going to put into a cup of cold water. There, the water, the klipa miyad gets nisariv into the rest of the water. So there's no water that sits there on the outside of the shell long enough to cook. And that's the melech of Kol Beis Yisrael. And therefore, Rabbi Singer, you do not have to do tshuva. I do, because I did not know this, Rabbi Yashiv. Rabbi Cooper seemed to say I said this over, but it could be that I forgot. Or it could be that Shlomo Zalman over there in the Morah Shabbos. Yeah, Rabbi Lieberman saying I said this over last time. I don't know what happened to me, Rabbi Isai, but I also have to do tshuva. Shikchas HaTorah is an Isser, It's an Isser. There's no games. Rabbi Isai and Shemayim, they test you on everything. There are no games. There's rules. There's no games. Shlomo Zalman over there, he has a different teretz. He wants to be mechalik. He says, why? Because he says, because there you want it to heat up. Interesting, Rav Shlomo Zalman. He says you want let's say the piece of meat, you want it to heat up the gravy. That's what you want to do. You have a boiling hot piece of meat, you want it to heat up the gravy. He says, Masha ain't Cain. I mean, he's not talking about an egg over there, right? But he's talking about, let's say I take stomach kli, and I want to cool down the kli. He said, there, you're not coming to heat up the water. So I guess he means it's kain like a malacha shein tzrich legufasvar. You're not coming to heat up the water. You're coming to do the opposite. You're coming to cool down the pot. You're not coming to heat up the water with the egg, Rabbi Zinger. You're coming to cool down the egg. As I say, we're not dealing anymore with a shiloh of deraisa. And now I guess once we're not dealing with a shiloh of deraisa, so then that far, harbe makim to be makel when we don't understand the Mogen Avram in the first place, right? That's number 2. Number 3 is the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa in the 259th Ara. He has a different mahalach. He wants to say, he says, Shamati mipi chacham echad. So we know that this chacham is not Rav Shlomo Zalman and not Rav Elyashiv, because he quotes Rav Shlomo Zalman and Rav Elyashiv the whole time. So it's a different chacham. And this chacham, I myself was thinking this mahalach, that maybe Rabbi Cooper also mentioned to me this mahalach, maybe when you have soup or gravy, and you're putting on a piece of boiling hot kugel or something like that, and you put the boiling hot piece of meat onto the gravy, so the gravy gets into the crevices of the piece of kugel, of the piece of meat. So then there's a drop of liquid that gets cooked now in the meat. Masha'en kain, when you're dealing with a surface, which is a smooth surface, like an egg or like a kli, so then Avada, the Mogen Avram would agree. So Rabbi say, you have 3 reasons why an egg you're allowed to put into water. Number 1, I'm not trying to heat up the water. Number 2, it's a smooth surface, so no water is getting inside the cracks of the egg. For carrot, the water sits on the outside and then just gets mixed and doesn't have a chance. Number 3 is what Rabbi Elyashiv said, the Melech of all of Klal Yisrael. Rabbi Elyashiv said that when it comes to the water is not as thick. And about the water is not as thick, that for sure gets mixed. Mashen and gravy. Now, what's exactly the level, etc. Right? So the Maisa, if you look inside the Mishnah Berurah, Rabbi say, whose Malach stims the most in the Mishnah Berurah? Mishnah Berurah says these words. He says, "V'litein chatichas basar roteach l'soich roitiv tzoynein aser." Why? The kevan she'enoi misarev is mevashel kedei klipa. He says, the kevan she'enoi misarev. What does he mean it's enoi misarev? He means he's coming off fuke that when water mixes, when you take cold water and you put it into hot water into cold water, it gets mixed miyad. So the Mamela doesn't have a chance to cook it. So the Mishnah Berurah says, here it doesn't get misarev. The piece of meat doesn't get misarev. It doesn't sound so much like, I don't know. I was thinking this sounds like Rav Elyashiv more l'chayra. It sounds more like Rav Elyashiv. What was the word of Elyashiv? He's saying that no, I'm not sure. But the Maisa, all Mahalchim over here seem to be viable. I'm not sure. Halacha Maisa, the egg in the water. I'm chayzer on what we said yesterday. You could be mekel, either because the water is getting cooled down, and that's your intention, or because it's a smooth surface so it doesn't get into the egg, or because the water is something that is very, very fluid and it doesn't get cooked. It will not sit in one place, and therefore there's certainly a makim to be mekel. Adkan is Sif Yud, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Lagabi, the droplets that we were Meirich on Oid, Yud Gimel is the sugya of other liquids, and now we go to a new sugya, the sugya of Sif Yud Dalet. Everybody's with me? Everyone's alive? Everyone hears me? Good. New Sif, no Simon, new everything. Sif Yud Dalet you do together with Sif Yud Zayin, because Sif Yud Dalet enlightens us to what's called the Gzeiras Hefsher, new sugya. New sugya. Whoever needs a new sugya, it's a new sugya. So everybody's alive? Everyone's awake? That was stretchy time a little bit, no? Stretchy time. Tovi, you didn't put on deodorant yet. All right, let's go. Rabbi Levin, Malka, put your hands up. What are you doing over here? No, hands in the air. Stretchy time. Let me go. Xeris Hefsher. Rabbi Isai says the Heilige Shulchan Aruch, new sugya. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Mutter litain kitain shalmayim. You're allowed to put in a kitain shalmayim. You're allowed to put in a kitain shalmayim. Oishar mashkim keneged ha'esh lahapik sinasam ubilvad sheyitnem rachik mei ha'esh. Halacha is that I'm allowed to take a bottle of water or whatever, or we'll see what's more to get baby bottles, things like that, and you're allowed to put them near the fire in order to cool them down. Ubilvad sheyitnem rachik mei ha'esh, but you have to put them not so close to the fire. This is known as the Gzeiras Hefsher. You can't put something close enough you can't put something close enough so that it's going to become hot of a yad saledis by. You can't put it hot enough that it's going to get cooked. About us the karvai, but you can't do it. You're not even allowed to leave it for a short while in a case of where you plan on removing it because I guess you might leave it there, you might forget. And who are then apples? Sometimes you want to have like a hot apple or something. So you take a raw apple and you put it on an upside down pan on top of your hot plate. So you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to take an upside down an apple and put it on an upside down pan. So says the Shulchan Aruch, it depends. Right? If you're putting it in a place, if it's so hot on top of your upside down beckel that the apple could become yad saledis by, and heed my words, Rabbi Say. It has to be that the apple is going to become yad saledis by. If it's hot enough that the apple could become yad saledis by, so then you have a problem. Even though you plan on taking it off, you just want to put it on for a few minutes, for like 2-3 minutes. But we make a gzeira, you might come to leave it there. So this is known as the gzeira's hefsher, and this has a lot of airtime in Shulchan Aruch. In Sivan Zayin, Shulchan Aruch says the kimat the same malacha. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Why Yudal Yud is kimat the exact same idea. Also, litain seinen, you're not allowed to take water and cold water and put it by the fire to be mafsher it. Kol shamechem, if the mechem is hot enough that if you leave it there, it would get to yad saledis by, even though you plan on taking it away. But if it's not that hot, and if you would leave it there, it wouldn't get the yad saledis by, so then you are allowed to leave it there. Again, if it doesn't get the yad saledis by, you could take something and put it near the aish. You could take something and put it near the hot plate. You could take something, put it on an upside down pan. You could take something and put it on top of the cholent pot, as long as it won't get the yad saledis by. But if it's going to get the yad saledis by, you're not even allowed to leave it there. You're not even allowed to leave it there, kol's man, that you plan on even taking it away, because shema, you might leave it. That's the halacha. This is known as the gzeres hefsher. Taisus and Daf Mem Chesem Nal says, what's the reason for the gzeres hefsher? Taisus says that the reason for the gzeres hefsher is pasha kipshuta. You're afraid you're going to leave it. Says Taisus. He says, afilu ein yad saledis by shema yava letais v'yaniach cheese bashal. You might come to leave it and it'll cook and you'll be over on Bishul. So this we spoke out, I think Mamish very early on, if the remembers in Davnei Nezer, in Siman Kufn and Daled, in Agtal, in Oifes, he got in Memhei. He asks Akasha, so what happens if I leave it there? Right? Was it Miskavin Lavashal? Rabbi say, he put there an apple, he put there water, he put there a baby bottle. Why did he put the baby bottle there? He doesn't want to cook the baby bottle. The reason he put it there is to heat it up. So what would happen? Maybe he's going to forget and it's going to get to Yad Saledis by. Is Rabbi say, in fact, it's at least ain't a Miskavin. It's not a psikresha, so it's a regular din of Eina Miskavin. Why is it not just the regular rules of Eina Miskavin that if a person does something and he's not planning on doing an Esser, so then my high, why should such a thing be awesome? So Davnei Nezer says, interesting, right? I'll read you his words. He says, "V'nira li yashiv," because he wants the chamimis. Vaday nichali shetei yad saledis by. He wants that. When a person wants to heat up a baby bottle, he wants to heat up a bottle, he wants it to be hot. He wants that. Just the Isser Shabbos makes him take it away. Okay? But if you're going to tell him that you're an Eina Miskavin and therefore it'll be mutter, again, he Bamis wants it to be Yad Saledis Bay. And we'll see the Yad Saledis Bay is not so hot. So he Bamis wants it to be Yad Saledis Bay. Elamai, you're saying, but it's Eina Miskavin, right? No. He wants it to be Yad Saledis Bay. But you're saying, no, because of the Isser Shabbos, he wants to take it away, and if he won't take it away, so it'll be over. So what are you saying? You're saying he's Eina Miskavin to leave it there. So wait a minute. But if we tell him that you're an Eina Miskavin, and if you would wind up leaving it there, you won't be over, so then he'll be happy to leave it there. It's like there. If you're going to tell him that he wants it to be Yatzalas, but the Isser Shabbos tells him that he has to move it. But if you tell him that if you forget it, you'll be called an Eina Miskavin and you won't be over on Hilchos Shabbos, so then Nichale, he's going to be happy it should be Yatzalas. So he said that's called Melechus Machshavos. You guys chap, everybody said it's chap. He's saying that Ad Kama, that you're calling him an Eina Miskavin. he could go back to his regular ritzinus. What's his regular ritzinus? His regular desire is really that the water should get hot and become yatzolet display. That's what he wants. Elamai, he's not allowed to make it yatzolet display. So therefore, he's going to have to remove it. But if you tell him, wait a minute, if you would forget it, so then anyways, you'd be called an Eina Miskavin. So then what? He'd be happy about what happened. So if he'd be happy about what would happen, that would be called he's a Miskavin. It's an interesting mahalach. Interesting mahalach. I was thinking of a different mahalach. I was thinking of more of a mahalach, which we'll see in a minute, makes a tremendous nafkamina. I was thinking more of a mahalach that what's the lumdus of this Gzeres Hefsher? Maybe the lumdus of the Gzeres Hefsher is that when a person puts down this, let's say, baby bottle or something, right now, every time a person does Bishul, his entire Maisa in the Bishul is he puts the item in a place where it could cook. That's always what Bishul is. I take food, I put it in the oven, I do nothing, it gets cooked an hour later. My Maisa was the bringing it to a place that it could get cooked. And in Bishul, the Chiddush is that the gram of Bishul is what's Mechayev. I take a pot, I put it on the fire can cook it. That's your Maisa always when it comes to Bishul. The Chiddush is, though, is that if you take it away in general, let's say a person comes, he puts bread, the Gemara says, on the oven wall, and then he decides to take it off. So then, even though Be'etzim, that Maisa should have been Mechayvim, but it's lacking in the basic Aleph base. It didn't get Nisbashal. It didn't change. So he could uproot his Maisa. That's how it works with every Bishul. So basically, when he takes this water and he puts it close enough, or this baby milk, and he puts it close enough to the fire that it could cook, Elamai plans on taking it away. Basically, every Maisa of Bishul that you do is already done when you place it there. So Elamai, this is considered uprooting your Maisa Bishul. Who says that we would allow such a thing? Who says we allow such a thing? If a person did something that Pa'ula is called a Maisa Bishul, just it's lacking in the t'nai of being this bashel, because it takes time. So I could hear that itself Chazal Aser. Now, and again, when we look at when a person took water and he put it by the fire, what's it called when a person takes water and he puts it by the fire? That's a Maisa Bishul. Elamai, he could uproot the Maisa Bishul. But when he takes the bread, the Gemara at the beginning of Masechta Shabbos, he takes the dough and he puts it on the wall of the fire of the oven. So that's a Maisa of Afiyah. Elamai is not over an Afiyah yet because he's lacking in the Bishul. So he would take it off. And when he takes it off, so then it's going to make it that he wasn't over. No, say that. But the Maisa that he did is he put something into a place that it could cook. That Maisa itself is a Maisa of Bishul. It's just lacking in the t'nai of being Nispashel. All right. This is what I thought. If you go like that, then it's Pashit. Then you can't don now on Eina Miskavins. You can't don. There's no Shaila now. He's an Eina Miskavin if it happened by Saif. Because over here, this Maisa already is done. Your Maisa is to put it into a place of where it's Mavashal. Elamai, you want to uproot your Maisa. We never saw anything about uprooting Maisa. We only found the concept of Eina Miskavin in the Maisa itself. Here, the Maisa itself, you want it to be over here. Elamai, you want to uproot that which you did. But at comment you forgot and you didn't uproot, so then such a thing, we would not necessarily call an Eina Miskavin. Does everybody hear what I'm trying to say? Everybody hear what I'm saying? No? What do you say? No? Should I say it again? It's not true what I'm saying. Again, the Avdei Nezer asked the Kasha. Rabbi said, let's make it practical. I take a baby bottle of milk and the Mishabura Shita is, Rabbi saying, the Mishabura Shita is, we could be talking about even a lach shenitztanen, because the Mishabura Shita is that a liquid that was previously cooked, we treat like a liquid that was not previously cooked once it's totally cooled down. So you want to take a little mother's milk, or you want to take regular milk, and you want to put it near a fire. You have a fire going, a blech going, there's no problems of kashrus, or you want to take an upside down pan, and you want to put it on an upside down pan, okay? And you don't plan on leaving it there till it's yatzel display. Okay, mitzad kashrus, you don't have a problem. You take a separate silver pan and you put it on and you put the baby bottle on there. And now you want to heat up that baby bottle, okay? So now, first of all, this milk, manashach, whether it was cooked or if it wasn't cooked, it doesn't matter because now it's a lach and it's standing. So the halacha is you're not allowed to put it into a place where it can get the yatzel display. Why not? In fact, the Avnei Nezer, if he forgets, he's an Eina Miskavin. He doesn't plan on forgetting it, so he's an Eina Miskavin. Okay, so I'm being matzia to the olam anutzad. I'll tell you why it's aser. You know why it's usher? It's usher because if I take a baby bottle and I put it there, that Maisa now is you place something into a position that it can cook. Now, if you take it away, you uprooted your Maisa Bishul, but you were over already on a Maisa Bishul. Maybe not the Raisa, maybe the Rabbanan, but it's just lacking in the t'nai of being nit bashel. But the Rabbi, however, do we ever mechayev a person when he takes a baby bottle and he puts it near a fire that it's going to be out to let it fire? He finished his Maisa 25 minutes ago. The Torah says that is your Maisa Bishul, and you didn't uproot it. So that's called Bishul. So how can it be, Rabbi? I take a baby bottle, I put it into a place, but I have kavanah that I'm going to take it away. Okay, if you don't wind up taking it away, you did the exact same thing that the other guy did. That has nothing to do with the Pasha of Eina Miskavin. You just didn't uproot your nice Bishul. Everybody hears what I'm saying now or not? Klar? Nozi? Klar Zanesh. Rabbi say it's not correct. It's not true. It's not true. I learned this from Rav Moshe Feinstein and Chelik Aleph in Siman Tzadi Gimel when I realized this isn't true. He says like this, Dr. Moshe, La Rosh, according to the Rosh, it's mashma ein tama iser mishum shema tishkach. The time of the iser is not because shema you'll forget. V'taniach achis bashal. He says it's not else xero. Ela tam mishum da'ata reyu oise maise bishal mamish. And loy mashkechina na machshavasa levatel shema malacha. Rabbi say, I was makavin to a Rosh. It's a very big simcha. But the Moshe is coming to say that the Rosh is not like Taisus. The Moshe is coming to say that if you learn the pshat of like the way we've been saying it till now, which is how the Mishabura learns and how the Taisus learns, that the reason why you're not allowed to do it is Shema Yishkach. You might forget. You might forget. That's why this Xeris Hefsher, you push it, might forget, right? Says Rav Moshe, there's a whole different reason why it's aser. It's not as Xeris Shema Yishkach. It's an Isser Drabanan Be'etzim. You're not allowed to put something into a position where it can cook. It's a whole different malach, Rabbi say. It's a whole different malach. No, I'll tell you why. Should I tell you why I'm so excited that it's two different malachim? Right? Because Rabbi say, the fee this, it's miyashiv something that bothered me tremendously. The Chzayin Ish, I told you once that are we going to aser milk? Are we going to aser milk that was previously pasteurized milk, cooked milk? You want to take milk and you want to give it to a baby. It's a very common case. You want to take milk and give it to a baby, but you don't want to give the baby cold milk. So you want to take the milk and you want to put it on upside down pan and put it on, the hot plate. You don't want to leave it there till it gets to Yatzel despite, because you know that we don't do that. I was previously cooked, but you know that the Ramas is mefurish, that anything previously cooked, now that it cooled down, so we're not allowed to heat it up again. But you plan on taking it off before it gets to Yatzel despite. That's what you want to do. You want to take it off before you get it. Do we make Xeris Hefsher on a lach shenitztanin? I mean, what's the shaila? Maybe the only time we made Xeris Hefsher is when you have cooking a liquid that was never cooked. Water that was never cooked, milk that was never cooked, baby milk that was never cooked. But do we make on the chumrah of lach shenitztanin? So the Mishnah Berurah and Siv Kotin Kovches says yes. He says mefurish. He says that even if it's a liquid that was mamish, the milk that was pasteurized and the milk now is cold, the sheet of the Mishnah Berurah is there is a Xeris Hefsher and the milk is now cold. That's the sheet of the Mishnah Berurah. Now I mentioned that this is the Xeris Hefsher. I mentioned this is the Mishnah Berurah L'Shitasei. I mentioned way back when that the Mishnah Berurah holds that a lach shenitztanin. We are choishesh for the other shita that holds lach yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach. What's the pshat in the Ramah that says that there is a chumrah when it was nitztanin legamrei? The Ramah holds that when it was nitztanin legamrei, so then we're choishesh for the shita that holds it's in the deraisa. That's what the Mishnah Berurah learns. That the Mishnah Berurah says that when you have milk that was previously cooked and now cooled down, the Mishnah Berurah views such milk as if the milk was never cooked. Why? Because he's choishesh for the shitas that hold that yesh bishul achar bishul v'davar lach. So therefore, the Mishnah Berurah gives it a din of deraisa. And we said this is one of the rayas. So what's the raya? The raya is Rabbi say the whole entire Xeris Hefsher is a real bemis Xera. You might leave it there, and if you leave it there, you might come to mivashal. So therefore, don't leave it there. Xera drabanan. You might leave it there, and you'll come to be mivashal. Rabbi say we asked the kasha. We asked the chayra. Bishlama, if you learn that when you have milk that's cooled down, the Mishnah Berurah is being chayshish for the shitas that hold that it's a deraisa. So then I understand that you make a xeris hefsher on milk that was cooled down because you might come to leave it there and then you'll be over in a deraisa. So it fits perfectly into the xeris hefsher. There's no difference if the milk was cooked and the milk is not cooked. But we asked, Mash Enkin, if you learn like the Chazanish and Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, how did Rabbi Moshe Feinstein and Chazanish learn? They learn we're not chayshish for the other shita. We paskin 100% ain bitchel lacha bitchel b'davar lach. And therefore the milk that's cooled down 100%, you're not over and it's a deraisa when you heat it up. What's the chumrah of the Ramah? The chumrah of the Ramah is that if we're gonna let you take milk that was cooled down and we're going to let you put it into a klirishin or something like that, so then you're going to come to put uncooked milk because you're not going to see the difference because it looks the same. That's the chumrah. The chumrah is a marasayin. So I asked the kasha back then, how is it shaykh to make a gzeira l'gzeira? How's it shaykh to make a gzeira l'gzeira? If you learn that the lumdus is that when you have uncooked, previously cooked milk, it gets cooled down. We're chayshish for the shitas that it's mamish the rice and heat it up again. So then I understand this gzeres hefsher. But machenkin, if you learn like the Chazanish and Rabbi Moshe Feinstein that when you have milk that was previously cooked, why are we machmir? Not that there's a deraisa chalila if we come to cook it. No, not. Even if we come to cook it, we're not over. We make a gzeira of a marasayin. If you're going to let him go and cook, heat up milk which was previously cooked, he's not going to know the difference between previously cooked and cooked milk. It all looks alike. So he's going to come to make mistakes. What's the mistake? He's going to now cook an uncooked milk. Okay, it's a paisai. But then how could you make xero like xero? And then there's no way I would ask her taking previously cooked milk and not letting you put it near fire. Because what's the whole problem? I plan on taking it away before it gets there. You're going to make a xeris hefsher on previously cooked milk when previously cooked milk is a chumrah in the first place. It's minanimna, mechatesi to say such a thing. And I'll prove to you it's right, Rabbi Sai. The Shartzian over here in Kuf Yud Dalit, he's bothered by a question. Over here, the Ramah says you can't even put an apple, which was an uncooked apple, in a position where if you would leave it there, it would get to Yatzaledis bite. Okay? That's what it says over here in the Ramah. You can't take fruit and put them near a fire in an oven of where if you would leave it there, it would get the Yatzaledis bite. You can put it in a place where it won't get the Yatzaledis bite, but you can't put it in a place where it can get the Yatzaledis bite, even if you plan on taking it away. The Hainu, there's a Xeris Hefsher when it comes to fruit. Okay. All of a sudden, the Shartzin starts getting all aggressive. He says, wait a minute, is fruit deraisa? If I take an apple and I cook an apple, is that an issa deraisa? It's already edible. Maybe it's not deraisa. Maybe Bishul is only something that like a chicken or potatoes that you couldn't eat raw. He got a whole needed. And then the Mishnah Berurah says, no, it's not true. It's not true. If you take an apple and you cook an apple on Shabbos, even though it was edible, you're over an issa deraisa. And he proves it from Rishayim. Why is the Mishnah Berurah so nervous over here? Why does he start screaming about who cares if a fruit is deraisa? Because the Mishnah Berurah is bothered by what we're saying. How could the Ramah say that when you take fruit and you put it near a fire and you, even if you plan on taking it away, it's usher? Why? If when you cook fruit on Shabbos that are edible, it's only an issa d'rabbanan, then it would be xera l'xera. We would not give it the xeris hefsher. So therefore the Mishnah Berurah says, no, don't worry. If you take fruit and put it by a fire and you cook it on Shabbos, that would be an issa d'raisa. If you take fruit and put it by a fire on Shabbos, that would be an issa d'raisa. Therefore, it makes sense what the Ramah says, that they made it xeris hefsher. What do you see mefurish in the Mishnah Berurah? You see mefurish in the Mishnah Berurah that the Mishnah Berurah held that if all we're dealing with is a d'rabbanan, we're not going to include it in the xeris hefsher. So Rabbi say, if even on a d'rabbanan we're not going to make a xeris hefsher, so then we're for sure not going to make a xeris hefsher on a chumrah of the Ramah. We paskin that it's yain b'shalach or bishul b'davar. Just we have a chumrah. What's our chumrah? We have a chumrah that we're worried of a marsayin that a person is going to see you with previously cooked milk and he's going to make a mistake and he's going to think that even regular milk you're allowed to go and do that. Rabbi said that's a marasayin. We're definitely not going to make a marasayin on xeris hefsher. However, the Mishnah Berurah won't even make an issa d'rabbanan on xeris hefsher. Is that crystal clear, Rabbi Sai? So this is the raya that the Mishnah Berurah shita is is that when you have a previously cooked liquid, he says over here there's Xeris Hefsher on a previously cooked liquid. So it must be, it's because when it came to a previously cooked liquid, he understood like that the pshat in the Ramah is that on a previously cooked liquid that cooled down, we say, Yesh, Bishul, Achar Bishul, we're chayshish for those cheetahs that it's a deraisa. And therefore, the Mishnah Berurah said, therefore, we can make Xeris Hefsher. The Kitzer, it's very simple. Tachlis, we have in front of us a Mishnah Berurah that tells us this Xeris Hefsher even on a previously cooked liquid. I'm telling you that is muchach, that therefore the sheet of the Mishnah Berurah is that previously cooked liquids, the Ramaz Chumrah was to treat like to worry about those Rishonim that held that a previously cooked liquid is now an Isser Deraisa, Yesh Bishul Achar Bishul, if it's cooled down all the way. How do I know that? Because the Mishnah Berurah never would have made Xera L'Xera. How do I know he wouldn't have made Xera L'Xera? Because when it came to fruit, the Mishnah Berurah Chartzi and Kuf Yud proves that it must be that the fruits are Isser Deraisa if you cook them on Shabbos. Because if they would only be a Drabanan, I wouldn't make on them Xeris Hefsher. Is that crystal clear? Yeah? It's Rabbi say, let me be Messiah. What I'm saying is not true. No, Rabbi Hoffman, what I'm saying is not true. Because the Chazon Ish is not like that. The Chazon Ish in Lamed Zayin Yud Gimel says not like that. You know what the Chazon Ish says in Lamed Zayin Yud Gimel? The Chazon Ish says that there's Xeris Hefsher even on a chicken soup, which was previously cooked. Rabbi Say, what was the sheet of the Eilik Chazon Ish? The Chazon Ish's sheet is that what? The Chazon Ish's sheet is, no, that the whole entire liquids that were cooled down, or any liquid that was cooled down, he said the whole thing's a chumrah. It's a chumrah. And we don't paskin yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar, we paskin ein bishul achar bishul b'davar. And we're machmir because of Marasayin. You'll come to make a mistake. If I let you cook up a soup that was previously cooked, you'll come to cook water. Okay? It's like beside the Chazon Ish is the pella. Because the Chazon Ish in Siman Lamed Zayin Yud Gimel says that there's a Xeris Hefsher. You're not allowed to take soup and put it into a position of where it will come to Yad Soledis by. He says you can only put it into a place where it won't come to Yad Soledis by. But if the soup itself will come to Yad Soledis by, says the Chazon Ish, you're not allowed to put the soup that was previously cooked in a position that will come to Yad Soledis by. There's a pella, why not? It's a Xera like Xera. A Xera like Xera. Elamai, you're going to tell me, no, in Shabbos, we make Xera L'Xeras. How could you say such a thing, Rabbi Say? Over here, the Mishnah Berurah just told us that on this Xera, we don't make a Xera L'Xera. Ad Kedei Kach, the Mishnah Berurah told us that it better be that when you cook fruit, it's Takanissa Deraisa. Because if it would only be a Derabanan, we wouldn't make a Xeris Hefsher. So how could the Chazon Ish come along and not only Xera L'Xera, he takes a Chumrah that we're machmir on a Marasayin that the Ramah made up, and on that we're going to make a Xeris Hefsher? Tamua the Chazon Ish. Tamua the Chazon Ish. You understand the Shaila, Rabbi Say? Does everybody understand? I'm getting dead stares. Is it my internet? Rabbi Hoffman, you understand? Just say yes. Oh, you understand. Very good. As Rabbi Say, the answer is that if you look in the Chazon Ish, it's not fair. I can't be Myrich now because of the shear. But if you look in the Chazon Ish, it's not shver. Because Rabbi Say, the Chazon Ish himself goes with the rush. The Chazon Ish doesn't learn that Xeris Hefsher is a Xera. He learns it's an Isser Drabanan. The Chazon Ish learns that when you put something in a position that it could cook, that is an Isser Drabanan. Not because you're going to forget, because you did a Maisa Bishul. Elamai, you could uproot that Maisa Bishul, but you already did an Isser. Putting something into a position that it can cook, that's already a Maisa Bishul. Elamai, you can uproot that Maisa Bishul. You uproot a Maisa Bishul. That's already, you did an Issa Drabanan. Doing something in essence, which is Maisa Bishul, just that you can uproot that Maisa Bishul. So we don't say that's just a Shema Yishkach, you might leave it there. We say that's an Issa Drabanan. Oh, if it's an Etzim Issa Drabanan, so then it's Gevaldik. That's a real Issa Drabanan. It doesn't get the rules of Gzeira l'Gzeira. There's an Issa Drabanan to do a Maisa cooking. Elamai, you're going to uproot it. Fine, but until you uproot it, that's an Isser. So beside the Chazon Ish is Gevaldik. The Chazon Ish is saying that even though I hold that chicken soup that was previously cooked is already is Ein Bishul Achar Bishul, but we have a Chumrah. What's the Chumrah? The Chumrah is a Marasayan. Don't go and cook it. Because if people see you cook that, they'll come to think you can cook a liquid that was never cooked. As Rabbi says, so now it's so simple. I can't take a bottle of previously cooked milk and do a Maisa Bishul on it. I can't go and put it into a place, even with the intention of uprooting it, because now you did a Maisa Bishul. You put it into a place where theoretically you can cook that itself is a Maisa Bishul. So I say it's a Davar Nifla, right? Davar Nifla. Halacha l'Maisa. Halacha l'Maisa. I don't know where we lost Danny. I went a little overtime because we had all issues today. Do I have 1 minute to make a sikkum? Oh, yeah, I have to say it in the Chumash. What happened?
Yeah, we
Where's
have
Danny?
time, Rabbi. We have time,
You have
Rabbi.
time? All right.
We have
There's no bris
until
today, right?
No, I don't think so. No,
How much time do I have?
till 6:15.
Okay, perfect. I'll go till 6:12, maybe even less. Okay. Is let me just
The
make a
Chizuk
sikkum
as
over
well.
here. Yeah. The Chizuk. Wait. All right. Let's just make a quick sikkum. Tachlis, you learned a lot today, everybody say. First of all, you learned that the Chazanish doesn't bring in his sefer. If you have boiling hot water coming out of an urn, the water in the cup, the Chazanish in the sefer doesn't bring it, but in time of the cry, he brings that the cup is called the Kli Rishon still. And that has all types of chumrah. That is neged the psak of all of the paiskim, and the Chazanish himself doesn't bring it in the sefer. And therefore, Rabbi Siegel, you don't have to be chayshish for it, but you could maybe use it lekula. And if you want to use it to kasher your countertops and not feel guilty, and Rabbi Fishel, get a good shidduch, so then there's a makom to be makel to pour boiling hot water and consider it a kli rishon, and then afterward cover it. That was number one. Then we learned that an embati is a boiling hot klisheni, and that breaks the rules, either because midrabanan it looks like it's cooking the water, or because it's yad nichves, or because the walls aren't cooling down. But for whatever reason, if you have a bathtub with boiling hot water from a klisheni, you're not allowed to put inside of the cold water. The mikvahs aren't negay this shiloh, like we explained, because today the maisa, the mikvahs have the actual heating system inside the mikvah. Then we saw that Rabbi Zinger doesn't have to do tshuva for this. When it comes to taking an egg and putting it inside the water, so putting it in the water, there are 3 reasons to be makel, even though yesterday we saw that the Mishnah Berurah brings down that if you take a piece of meat and you put it in the gravy, that's an isser, but that was only by meat and gravy, either because an egg is smooth, and since an egg is smooth, the water doesn't sit, it doesn't go into the egg, or because the water is not thick, it's thin, and therefore it gets mixed right away. Or we saw another svara that maybe the water can't get nivla into the cracks of the meat like the roitiv in the meat. Also, Rosh Shlomo Zalman told us that he wasn't coming here to heat up the water. He was coming to cool down the egg. So therefore, on the egg inside the water, we were makel. That's number 3. Number 4 is we spoke about the Gzeres Hefsher. We saw 2 Avanas in the Gzeres Hefsher. One Havana in the Gzeres Hefsher is that he Pashut might come to forget, might come to leave it there. And that's why Chazal and Gzera. And if you go like that, Rabbi Adler, then that is Gzera. That's considered Gzera and has all the rules of Gzera, the Gzera. And if you would go like that, Mahalich of Shemi Yishkak, which is the Mahalich of the Mishnah Berurah, so the Mishnah Berurah says, I'm only going to make this Gzeres Hefsher on things that are deraisa, not the Rabbanan. In the Mishnah Berurah's example, therefore, if you want to take an apple and put it by the fire, if you put it close enough that it can get cooked, Yatza led this by, so then that's an Isser, even if you plan on taking it away. In fact, the Mishnah Berurah, why? Hooray, if I leave the apple there and I actually cook it, is that an Issa Deraisa? Hooray, it was edible. Says the Mishnah, yes, even though the apple was edible, there's still an Issa Deraisa to cook an apple that was edible. So the Mishnah Berurah, now I'm going to make a Gzeres Hefsher. Now it makes sense that there should be a Gzeres Hefsher, because since it's something that if I would leave it there, it would come Lidei Deraisa, so therefore you're not allowed to leave it there. You're not allowed to even put it there milchatchila, because you might come to leave it there. But we proved this is the raya that the Mishnah Berurah shita is that when you have a previously cooked liquid, by the Mishnah Berurah is 100% an Issa Deraisa. That's the chumrah of the Ramah. That when we say you can't cook previously cooked liquids, yesh bishul lachar bishul b'davar lach when it's in stand on the gamrei. That was why. That was because we take on like the shitas that were chayshish, it's deraisa. Therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah does Gzeres Hefsher. We asked the kasha that the Chazanish doesn't stem with that, because the Chazanish said there's Gzeres Hefsher even on a previously cooked chicken soup, and the Chazanish himself held that the chumrah is not that we're chayshish that it's a deraisa, but that we're just chayshish for a marasayan. We're not chayshish for those shitas at all. We hold 100%. If you cook that soup, it's mutter gomer 100% midaraisa drabanan minig. Elamai is a new minig. There's a chumrah now if it's a maris ayin. So then we asked him why the Chazon Ish make Xeretz Hefsher. So we explained the different malich that's where Moshe Feinstein in the 93rd Tshuva brings down from the Rosh that the isser of Xeretz Hefsher is not the way we explain Xeretz Hefsher. You might forget and leave it there. Because then you get into all types of shilas, and it should be a miskavin. The gzera is a different type of gzera. The gzera is you did a maisa bishul. When you took chicken soup that was cooked already, and you put it into a position where it can cook, even though you plan on taking it away. But that's a maisa bishul. Who cares that you can take it away? Kozman, you didn't take it away. You did a maisa, which is considered a maisa bishul. So then of course it's us to do that even to a previously cooked liquid. Because that is the entire chumrah. Even according to the Chazon Ish, there's a chumrah. The chumrah is to worry that a person will mistake this for this. So then you're doing now a maisa bishul. You can't do a maisa bishul on a previously cooked liquid. That's a maisa bishul, because if you do a maisa bishul on a previously cooked liquid, you'll do a maisa bishul on a liquid that's not cooked. To make it practical, this Shabbos, if you have the baby bottle of milk that is from the original container, right? Or if you have the milk which is pasteurized, both of those milks you're not allowed to put anywhere near the hot plate if it could come lidei yad saledis by. If it can't come lidei yad saledis by, so then you're allowed to put her near the hot plate, because not for sure it's mutter, but if you're putting it into a position where the actual milk can get the yad saledis by, even though you plan on taking it away, that's an isser. Rabbi say, I want to end with one thought. Maybe you'll come along and you'll say, I could be Makel. Why? Because like Rabbi Zinger just said, he said, what? Is there any person in his right mind that would leave the baby bottle there until it becomes Yad Saledis by? He doesn't want to be nichvis the baby. So then now we have something else, not the Hilchos Shabbos. We have a seichel reminding him. He has a brain. The brain is reminding him not to leave it there. So beside, maybe we should allow that when it comes to a baby bottle, if he's doing it basically for a baby, maybe we should allow the baby bottle to stay there, because there's no way in the world that he's going to actually leave it there. What do you say to that? He's not going to leave it there. He's not going to forget. So first of all, if you learn the lumdus is the other way, not like the Mishnah Berurah, then for sure it's not going to help us that far. Because saif you did a ma'aseh bishul, and you have no right to do a ma'aseh bishul even when you plan on uprooting it. But let's say you learn like the other mahalach, that the mahalach is shema yishkach, shema So paisai, say shimu ischli navshechem. Listen to a davar nifla, mamish a davar nifla. Right? They bring over here a certain sefer. It's he says something. So he says it should be mutter to do this. You should be allowed to put the baby bottle by the fire. He says it should be allowed. You should be allowed because nobody's going to leave it there. You're not trying to kill your baby. And he says, and he brings a raya. What's his raya? He brings a raya from the Mishnah Berurah and Sivkot and Sadi Aleph. So the Mishnah Berurah says, you're allowed to take a towel and leave it, a wet towel, whatever. He says, some type of a like this. I don't know what this is, a kliyoi feres. He says, you're allowed to put this towel by the fire. No, not a wet towel, sorry. You're allowed to put this towel by the fire, even though it might get the yad saledis by. Right? Sorry. He's talking about a case of where you're wrapping the towel, the food in something. No, you wrap the towel. Because he says you're allowed to take a towel and put it into a place, even though that thing is going to become maybe yad saledis by. So he says, why? Because no one's going to leave it. That it could become burnt. So the davashen miskavin and mistama yishkach. So this sefer writes, it's the same thing. No one is going to leave the baby bottle there to get the yad saledis by. Right? But Rabbi says it's talking no shayches. Like the oilam is answering, it's no shayches. Rabbi says the answer is, oops. When it comes to the towel, what happens if he leaves it there? It's going to burn. He's going to ruin his towel. So of course he's not going to come to leave it there. Mashenke, what happens, Rabbi says, if he leaves the baby bottle there? What happens? Nothing. He just waits 1 minute and he says, oh, it's too hot, and he lets it cool down. But he doesn't care that it should happen. He has no reason there when he's going to leave the towel by the fire, it could burn, and then he's ruining his towel. So if he ruins his towel, so he's not going to come to leave it there. Masha'en came when it comes to the baby bottle. What would be the worst thing that happens if he left the baby bottle there? So leave the baby bottle there. And what? Right? And then what? If he'll leave the baby bottle there, and what? Rabbi Silverman saying that the baby's crying, and that's going to remind him. Yeah, but it's very easy to get the baby to be calm. Like the Gemara says, Hisil l'davar acher. You just start waving in front of him keys, right? Or you start saying to him, all types of noises and zachen they like, that's how it goes. So Allah l'maisa, the baby bottle, no way. Even if it's previously cooked, even though you're going to take it away, but you can't put it into a place of where it could theoretically get to Yad Saledispai. Let's say one word on the Parsha. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties today. Whoever did Aveira should please do tshuva, because we had a lot of technical difficulties today. Okay. Danny will make it into a new shir.
Yes.
All right, Rabbi say, like I said last time, even though tomorrow I'll talk to the Olam about Parshas Balaischa, but today I'm going to talk about Parshas Shlach, because there are some of the Olam here from Eretz Yisrael, but it's not Bal Taisif. I looked it up in a few places, and I don't see any Isser in hearing on Parshas Shlach this week, so you're allowed to listen. And the story doesn't go bad anyways. What could you do? But for those that can't handle it, so tomorrow at 4:30 I'll talk about Parshat Balaischa. I want to just tell you, there's a Mardika idea that you see in this week's Parsha, and for some of us, it says in the pasuk Shlach Lecha Anoshim, Kadosh Baruch Hu says that you could send the Meraglim to Eretz Yisrael, to Eretz Canaan. So Rashi from the Gemara in Site that says like this: Shlach Lecha L'Daitcha, Ani Ein Mitzav Alecha. I'm not telling you to send them. If you want to send them, send them. Because Klal Yisrael came. I told you already it's toif. I told you it's toif. But if you want to say, Chayayim, Shani Noisam Lamakim Litais. If you want to go, and I'm giving you a Makim Litais. Okay? And the Gemara says, Haba the Tame, Haba the Tame Poiskanlai. This whole Gemara, this whole Medrash, this whole Tambua, Klal Yisrael come, they say they want Meraglim, they want to send. Hashem says, do what you want. I mean, Rabbi said, "Im tirtzat shlach." If you guys want to send. And then, but it seems to be this was a terrible avero. They were given rishus to send. They came to Moshe. They said, "We want to send meraglim." Hakadosh Baruch Hu didn't say it's also to send meraglim. Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, "If you want, you can do it. If you want, you can do it." It sounds like it was such a big avera that the Mida Keneged Mida is that they made the mistake, the toyis in the way that they were meragel, because they came along and said, we want to check out Eretz Yisrael. It was such an avera, and the Mida Keneged Mida it was a mokim litois, which was all the tragic mistake that the meraglim made. So the catch is obvious. They were told that they can go. So they took the rishus. They were told, if you want to go and look. So they took the rishus. So what was the avera, and what's the mida keneged mida? So it's a difficult parsha over here, but he's like, but let me tell you, it's a nice davar nifla that I heard from Rabbi Mordechai Ezrachi. So sein gesund. So it's a davar nifla. He said over that he was once in going to a government office. If you're from Eretz Yisrael, you'll understand the story better. From Israel, sorry. He was once going to a government office, and he had an appointment in a government office. So they told him that that government office, don't go there today. It's not good. He said, what do you mean? They're open. So he said, no, they're on strike. He says, I know they were on strike the last few days, but now they're open. So he said, no. They told him, listen, they were on strike the last few days, and today the strike ended. Okay, but the Maisa, they're still on strike, and they're only working to feed the letter of the law. The bare minimum, as you say, right? The letter of the law. So he said over Murdik there, he said, it's an interesting thing. That means that they're working right now. Whoever understands the government agency in Eretz Yisrael will appreciate the story. They're working. They're actually working right now, right? You see that the doors are open and they're working, right? But if you're working, how could you be on strike? So he said, you see from here, pick a site. You could be working and still be on strike. What does it mean? They're working to feed the letter of the law. Now, but regular working, if you the letter of the law, you don't want to go to such a government agency, say, right? That's the idea. Once they're working, if you the letter, but you see over here, you could be working at the letter of the law, and you're still on strike. And from over here, he said over such a tremendous insight, Rabbi Isai, in the Hanog of Torah and Mitzvahs. There's a Vilna Gaon. The Gaon says in one place that we know that a person can live with a Revius Dam. The Gemara says in Kallus in a person's body is a Revius Dam, is a Chayi Nefesh. And the Revius Dam, the Gaon said, is connected to Taryag Mitzvahs. And he said, that means that a person that has a Revius Dam, he's called alive. He's called alive. But only to the person that all the entire Chiyas that he has is just a Revius of Dam. In other words, only to the person that his entire life is, he just follows Torah and Mitzvahs. He follows Torah and Mitzvahs, and he's not an Eved Hashem. He does like the letter of the law. He's on strike. He could be on strike, but you could do everything, could be the letter of the law. Crazy aside. This is Rabbi side. This was the side of the Tayis of the Meraglim. The side of the Tayis of the Meraglim was that the Rebbeinu Shalom told them that Eretz Yisrael is good. I'm going to take you into Eretz Yisrael. I'm going to take care of you. Okay. The Meraglim were people that, and with this type of a hashkafa, the hashkafa was, I do exactly what I have to do. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, could we go and be Meragel? Is it permitted for us to do the regal and to check out Eretz Yisrael? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them, no, if you want to, shlach lecha. Nitin rishos im tirtze shlach. If you want to go, right? But it's not my rotzen. So what they said back, if Yachol to the Rebbeinu Shalom is that we follow the letter of the law. Rotzen Hashem we don't do. We follow the letter of the law. Rotzen Hashem we don't do. So they went to check out the Eretz Yisrael. What happens to people that don't do Rotzen Hashem, but they follow the letter of the law? It's a Yiddishkeit without leiv. It's a Yiddishkeit without heritage. You know what happens? Such people go into Eretz Yisrael. They see around them plagues and machlas, and they see people dying, and they see these big fruits, and they see these big grapes, and they see this, and that, right? But they are people that follow the letter of the law. That's what we do. Eved Hashem, we're not. Relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're not. Trying to do the Ratzon Hashem, we're not. We do the letter of the law. People that do the letter of the law, that means they work, but they're on strike. What does it mean to be on strike? It means my leiv is not here. My leiv in Yiddishkeit is not here. Such a person, he comes into Eretz Yisrael, what does he see? He makes a calculated cheshbon. It's the same type of hashkafa. No, dangerous place, Eretz Yisrael, not for us. Very dangerous, very scary. Lots of people dying, unsafe land. Didn't say anything. Didn't offer. It was a very unbiased report of Eretz Yisrael. Very, very factual report. Right? But if you have a leiv in Yiddishkeit and you want to do Ratzon Hashem, so then number one, and this is what the Yisayid is, when they asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, should we be Meragel? HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Nitin Rishus Litois. The oynish that they got was not an oynish. It was, this is the mahalach that you're taking. If you're asking me, I'm telling you this place is good. Come with me, make a dveikis for the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and come to Eretz Yisrael, and you have nothing to worry about. But if you're trying, letter of the law, is it allowed? If that's your hashkafa, so then when you're going to go in there, you're not going to be there with your leiv. You're not going to see all those machalas that all the people were dying with what? Fakert, in order that you should be able to be meragel, in order that you shouldn't have to get caught. It's a hashkafa zachayim, Rabbi Isai. I want to do Ratzon Hashem. This today, Rabbi Isai, in the matzav that we're in, it's very, very negeya. In the matzav that we're in now, there's a very big mucking for the letter of the law. It's a very big mucking. The davenings are very difficult. Some of us are still not zeichet to go back to shuls yet, etc. The davenings are still, the learning is still a matziv of where, I got to be yotzei zayin every day learning. There's a certain ruach of in the world right now of, I got to just do the letter of the law. I got to make sure I daven every day. I got to make sure I learn every day. I got to make sure, the letter of the law, the letter of the law. Such a Yiddishkeit, Rabbi Isai, that Yiddishkeit is abal tamei poiskenloi. That's a Yiddishkeit of a kaltkeit. That's a Yiddishkeit of a person that when he comes into Eretz Yisrael, he doesn't see all this nice that Rebbeinu Shalom is doing. It's not a relationship. It's Yiddishkeit is external. When Yiddishkeit is external, then it's not the person. You know what happens to such a person who has an external Yiddishkeit? The next part of the Meraglim. The next part of the Meraglim is that they come in there and they say, "Ay, Eretz Yisrael, we're not shaykh to Eretz Yisrael." Because when you go with the letter of the law, big people live there, big grapes live there. Vayu beinayim kichagavim. What are we? We're small people. We don't belong in Eretz Yisrael. Big people belong in Eretz Yisrael. Where does that come from? When a person is somebody that is Yiddishkeit is letter of the law. Whatever it says, that's what I do. I'm not trying to make a relationship. I'm not trying to make a life of Torah. So then you come to such an assignment, you come to such a situation. This doesn't fit in. Letter of the law. I can't do more than this. It's not shaykh. When a person comes with a lave that Yiddishkeit is life, Yiddishkeit is Torah, so then he always goes beyond himself. You know what the mistake of the Meraglim was, Rabbi said? They were 100% right. Eretz Yisrael is only for great people. Eretz Yisrael is only for giant people. Eretz Yisrael is only for people that are beyond the normal teva. They made one mistake, that they didn't realize that they are those people. When a person lives a life of letter of the law, I do this, but I'm not trying to connect myself. I'm not trying to make the Yiddishkeit a part of my life. If Rebbeinu Shalom says I can send Meraglim, I'm going. It's not the Ratzon Hashem. I do the letter of the law. My job, my tachlis is not to get a kirva to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Such a person, he comes into Eretz Yisrael. What does he see? He sees Eretz Yisrael. That place is for great people. You know what mistake they made? They were 100% right. Eretz Yisrael is for great people. A life of Torah and mitzvahs is for great. Dveikis to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is for great people. The mistake they made is that they thought that they weren't those people. And that's the big mistake that a lot of us make in the situations right now. I'll follow the letter of the law. They don't realize in the situation that you're in right now, Rabbi side, you could become gavaldik. You could have avodas Hashem. When a person has a kirva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a matzav of nisayon, he becomes so much greater. You know, let me tell you one last story. There was somebody who was in Nebuch, a terrible car accident. And because I think a lot of us, we feel like it's not shaykh in this matzav. We'll just do the letter of the law. I can't do more than that. The letter of the law, not more than that. I can't steig. I can't become great. It's not for me to become great. And that's a person just trying to get through. That's the wrong hashkafa, Rabbi say. You have to be trying. And a person, look at my matzav, look at my nisyanis. Let me tell you a story. There was once a fellow who was in a terrible car accident. And he lost his arm, lost his left arm. And Nebuch, it was a teenager, so it was very, very difficult for him. Imagine his whole life ahead of him. And he lost his arm. He fell into a massive depression. Somebody gave his parents an idea to send him to learn judo. You guys know what judo is? Judo. So judo, me, I have one arm. What's a shaykh to learn judo? The kids are. So I sent him to a judist, and he said, I could do it. If you meshabed yourself to learn, but I could teach you judo. He said, with one arm? He said, yeah, with one arm. And he taught him mamish, how to punch with the right arm, right? And he taught him this judoka. He taught him this mamish, all them how, and he became the best Jude in the whole entire mamish, the ganze yeshiva over there. Right? And they had tournaments, and he won tournaments. And he taught him a certain move with his right hand and a certain twist with his right hand. And this was his move. Kitzer came one day to the Grace tournament. There, Grace tournament. And came to the Grace tournament. Them Grace Chmeis, the whole, the sumo, the ganze dach. No, the Kitzer, he comes there. He's got one arm. He turns to his master and he says to him, now it's not shaykh. Look at this. But he says, no, don't worry. Yena move. That move is what we're going to use. And there he is. He's fighting with him in Judah. And finally, in the middle, it didn't look good. So the master screamed out, do the move with the right arm. So he did the move. He got into a certain position. Right? And he got him down. And he won. I said, Kitzer. So he came back. He asked his master. He said to him, it's unbelievable. But how'd you put me in there with them Grace Behema, them Grace Gedalia Gumba Gevein? How'd you put me in there? Do you see the size of that guy? How did you know that move with the right arm was going to work? How'd you know? You saw the size of that guy? How'd you know? So he told him like this. He told him, let me tell you something. That move, the only way out of that move is to pull you by your left arm. So there's no stopping you when you do that move. The only way out of that move is when they pull you with the left arm. So there's no way stopping you when you do that move. He taught him that your chesaron, that which you thought why you're not great, is why that's goof for where your mile is. Sometimes a person thinks he's in this matzah of I can do the letter of the law. I can't do more. I can't become great in this matzah. I can't get a dveikis to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this matzah. I'll remain the letter of the law. Hey, look at me, look at this matzah. How can I learn? How can I do this? How can I dive? How can I anything in this matzah? And he doesn't realize. You look at your chesaron. If the person sees that he's in a situation now that the davening is hard, and the learning is hard, and the waking up is hard, and everything is hard. So in that chesaron is where you're going to find your greatness. And that chesaron is not going to be that's what takes you down. That in the end is what's going to make you great. Good Shabbos, Rabbi say. Tomorrow, in Mitzvah Shem, I'll see you guys at 5:00. And you can tell your friends that something connected somehow, that word I just said to Parshas Balaischa. Otherwise, if you want, tomorrow I'll tell you about Parshas Balaischa. I'm sorry about all the computer issues today, everybody say. Hashem should help us. We should get back together again. Bezos Hashem. Call to Rabbi Silverman. Call to little Fiskus Maidlach. Call to little Zinger Yigal.
Call to everyone.
Call to Danny.
Bye-bye.
First, Bisman Abiyai. Bezos Hashem.
Amen. Amen. Call to everyone.